This was me a year ago. As you can tell, I've made some drastic changes and it's not all what you expect. Let me start off by explaining that I never planned to make any of these changes in my life. The health concerns that my family doctor and my family had for me at the time gave me two choices. Either I do what I'm going to tell you guys next, or I risked my kids growing up without a father. So I started off as a child with anxiety and fear. The problems that I was having in my family at that time always had me on edge. And so, as anybody else with anxiety finds a habit that takes away their fear, their insecurities, my habit was overeating. Chocolate was my main go-to thing. As soon as I woke up in the morning, the first thing that I would grab was a bar of chocolate or anything sweet, which would get me off edge and get me relaxed and away from all the anxiety that I was having, and all that fear, all those insecurities would go away as soon as I would eat. But little did I know that as years went by, I was planning for my life to go downhill. In my teenage years, I was always known as the scrawny kid who was full of energy, but little did people know that deep down inside, I was suffering a lot from depression and anxiety. And as I started to become an adult, puberty was starting to mix with what was going on with me mentally, and it was really hard to deal with all at once. People might have seen me as a kid full of positivity, but deep down inside, I was going through a lot. It was hard for me to explain to people the pain that I was going through at the time, because we had a lot of wealth and we went to places, we always traveled. If I would tell someone that I was having anxiety, they would say, how could you have anxiety, because you have all this stuff. But really, mentally, the more you have, the more anxiety you're gonna have. I started the habit of smoking thinking that it would take some of my anxiety away, but all it did was it got me deeper into thought, because I would go smoke alone and I would just think about what's going on with me, and I would go deep into thoughts that I never really wanted to think about. At the age of 17 was where I really started figuring out that something was wrong with me, not only mentally, but physically. My stomach, every time I ate, started feeling like somebody punched me, and then I started having acid reflux, which was really unbearable at some moments. And so I had to go back to the doctors. They prescribed me some anti-acid medication, which helped me for a little while, but the real issue started when I got married. So this is my love, Besa. I fell in love with her when I was at the age of 14, but like most things in life, nothing goes as planned. Back in Kosovo, which is my home country, family has a big role in any relationship, because for us, it is important to know where your daughter is going to be living and with what kind of people. Not only is she gonna be with her husband, but she's gonna be with her husband's family also. So her family heard some bad things about my family, and my family heard some bad things about hers. They separated us. This had a huge toll on my anxiety and my depression, and it played a big role in what I'm going to explain to you guys next. So years passed and I got into my 20s, and me and Besa finally crossed paths again, but this time as adults. We started talking and we found out that 100% of the things that we heard from each other's families were all false. We got back together and we introduced ourselves to each other's families. Finally, the thing that I wanted most in life was planned perfectly by the one and only Allah. And I know everybody's gonna say that dating is haram. Of course it is, brothers and sisters, but what happened with me and her was we started talking, and automatically she told her mother, and my mother got in contact with my family and everybody else, and they planned everything for us to go out in the halal way. We planned everything else, so don't go into haram relationships, brothers and sisters. We got married, and now we have two amazing kids, which are the main reasons why we are happy in this life today. But in the year 2021, I think, when COVID-19 happened, we lost some family members. I lost two of the most beloved people that were the main characters in my life, which removed my anxiety. And these two people were my grandfather, Hayrez Kojane, and my grandmother, Zeynia Betuche. These two played a huge role in my life. God took them away from me, and it was devastating. I went through a big mental fog, and I don't know how to explain it, but it was really hard for me to see these people that always kept me in the straight path and always kept me away from fear and from anxiety passing away. I felt so alone, and I felt like everything in my life was crumbling, even though I had all these other good things. But these people that kept me happy, that kept me away from what I was dealing with the most, were gone. And it was really hard, but Allah planned it that way. I wasn't going to be angry, but they will always be missed by me, and I hope that one day we will meet together in Jannah, inshallah. So after some years went by, in the year 2022, something happened to me that was life-changing. I didn't mention this, but since the age of 16, I was taking Zoloft, which was anxiety and depression medication. Little did I know that if you stop taking that medication cold turkey without consulting your doctor, your anxiety would come back a year later 3 or 4 times worse than it already was. After I stopped, I started feeling really faint, and I was afraid to leave the house. I was afraid to go out. I was afraid to lie down, to stand up. Everything was just keeping me on edge, and I always felt like something was going to happen. And so I went to the hospital. They had me put a camera down my esophagus to my stomach to check out what was going on, because I was complaining about my stomach pain and I wasn't able to breathe. Half of it due to anxiety, but half due to my stomach, which had a big toll on my anxiety, because once my stomach started hurting, then I always felt that anxiety kick in. They found out that due to my increasing weight and me going into obesity, I put myself through a hiatal hernia, which is when the stomach goes up through your diaphragm and gets stuck there, which causes shortness of breath and causes a lot of pain in the stomach area, acid reflux, and many more symptoms. So I was told to do surgery. For this surgery, I had to wait a couple of years, and because I was going through what I was going through at that time, I couldn't wait. So lucky for me, I had an uncle who was going through the same thing as me physically, and he referred me to a doctor in Turkey, which would not only help me with my stomach issue, but he would also help me with my obesity also. So this is when I found Dr. Metin Karadeniz. He's such an amazing surgeon and has a lot of experience with gastric sleeve surgeries and gastric bypass, and also hiatal hernia surgeries. So I booked an appointment with him, and I flew to Turkey on June 22nd, 2022, which was 2 days after my birthday. Straight away, I was met by a lovely driver who took me to the hospital. Before surgery, I was really nervous, mostly because it was only me and my wife in the hospital at the time, and me being far from my family with all the anxiety that I was going through and all the pain was really an emotional thing for me, because it was hard to do, but I knew that I had to do it for my family. If you know my parents, they wouldn't let their only son go halfway across the world to go do a big surgery like mine, and so they surprised me.
What the? Tu fais une overtime? Non aveva na Juve, c'è che to coi.
They came to Turkey and they gave me the energy to go through everything with ease. So the next day I would go do some cardio tests. I would go do an ultrasound on my heart, on my lungs. I would do some blood tests to make sure that I was ready for the surgery, and it was time. As soon as they started putting me to sleep, I knew there was no coming back, and in my mind I was in a fog, but I remember thinking that finally I'm going to change something and become someone positive in my life. I was going to take away all that negativity. Even though I wanted to give up, I knew that this choice that I was making for my family and not only for myself was something that would save me and would make my life amazing. So I woke up after the surgery, and honestly, this being my first surgery ever in my life, I didn't feel pain, I didn't feel any symptoms, I didn't feel nausea, I didn't feel nothing. I felt really calm at that moment. And maybe because I was thinking to myself that finally I did the biggest part of this surgery, and now comes the easy part, which is to take care of my health, to take care of my family, and slowly but surely I would make it to a point where I would be happy. The first week was really hard for me because I was used to eating a lot of food and drinking a lot of soda and stuff like that. As soon as I got used to that, a couple months later, I felt amazing and I started losing weight. I started getting clarity of mind. I started thinking more positively than I used to. But when the third month came, it was the most emotional month for me that I ever had in my life. Before this surgery, I wasn't able to focus. I wasn't able to spend time with my family the way I wanted to. I wasn't able to give my wife all the attention that she needed. I wasn't able to hang out with family and friends. But now, all of a sudden, I was sitting with my daughter and I could see her face clearly smiling at me, and it was the most amazing thing that I went through. I finally saw the beauty of my daughter clearly, with no mental fog, no anxiety, no fear. I felt the happiest and the calmest I have been in my life, which got me to tears. Ever since then, I have never been able to go back to thinking negatively. Every time I would remember that my family and the people around me are the reason why I'm here right now and why I'm happy, and they are the ones who convinced me to take some drastic measures to change myself. I will never forget it from them, and they are the reason why I'm here today. Now we also have a beautiful little baby boy. His name is Dieli, and I can't wait for him to grow up because I have a lot of things planned. I have a lot of fishing trips, a lot of camping trips planned with him. It feels so amazing to be able to think about my future, to think about positive things that are going to happen, to calm myself down, knowing that I wasn't able to do this for decades. So everybody, the moral of the story is sometimes when you're going through something and you want to give up, sometimes you can't think about yourself. You have to stop being selfish at that moment, because you have people around you, even if it's one person. You have somebody that really loves you, and you have to change for them. You can't change for yourself ever, because if you're going through mental illness, if you're going through something that is hard to deal with, everybody would want to give up. The thing that keeps us going forward are the people around us, the people that truly love us, that truly care for us. They are the ones who are going to support you in life, and without mine, I wouldn't be here today talking to you guys. And for them, I'm willing to give everything that I have just to see them happy. So never give up, and even if you want to give up yourself, think about the others around you. Don't be selfish. Think about people and change for the people that really care for you. This is it for this video. I hope this inspired you, and if it did, like and share this video so we can reach more people and motivate them to change for the better and not go downhill, but keep pushing forward and keep moving forward, and let them know that even though you want to give up, you always have to find a reason not to, because there always is a reason not to. And with that said, Assalamu alaikum, peace.